day of Raheem on the sweat program, you've got some chest work, you've got some back work, and you've got some hamstring work. So the chest work is going to be alternating arm dumbbell bench. You've got 10 reps to do. So grab a pair of dumbbells, pop them onto your knees, lie flat back, push both hands up in the air, one hand stays, you got one, it stays, 1, 2, 2, all the way up to 10 each side. When you're doing them, make sure the arm stays locked. As you get tired, the temptation will be to let one arm soften. The whole purpose of this is for a bit of shoulder and core stability along with pressing strength. If you let that elbow soften out, your shoulder and core are greatly limited in what they need to do. So challenge yourself to keep the arm straight even when it sucks. That's number 1. Number 2 is going to be single arm row for sets of 12. So you're going to set yourself up on the bench, one knee down, one hand down, and one foot out nice and wide for support. Probably easier to do it this way so you can see. Knee down, hand down, and you've got your torso basically over the floor, so it's not over the bench here. Grab your dumbbell, pull your hand to your wrist, or your wrist to your ribs, back down under control, wrist to ribs, back under control. Get 12 done, switch sides, and do 12 on the opposite arm. From there, you've got a new movement you probably haven't seen before. It's a staggered stance Romanian deadlift, or staggered stance RDL. Staggered stance is exactly like it sounds. Your stance is no longer square, one foot goes back. So in normal RDL, you have your dumbbells by your side, you come down to your knees, you recover back up. When you're doing it, the goal is to push your bum as far backwards as possible while keeping your toes on the floor. So your bum goes back, you make sure your toes stay stuck to the floor, and then you stand back up again. If your toes lift up, your hamstrings do way less work, so make sure your toe stays glued to the deck. So that's how a normal RDL would work. And if this staggered stance one isn't making sense, that's what you'll end up doing. But if you've got deadlifts down and you know what's going on with them, you're going to take your foot back here, like you're going to start a race. And then, same idea, just push your bum back as far as you can. All the load is on the front leg here, with this leg operating for balance only. Come back up and squeeze the bum, push the bum back, come back up and squeeze. With dumbbells, it goes something like this. Making sure at all times to keep this leg doing most of the movement, and this leg is just there for balance. If you kick the foot too far back, your hip position is going to be all over the place, so you're only really looking to be a little bit behind the heel and just off to the side a tad. So that's the strength portion. Cardio portion again is always on the board over here, and for today, just really simple. It's some easy work and it's some hard work. So it's a minute at 70%, it's a minute at 90%, rotated 8 times for 16 minutes. As the rounds wear on, your 70% will be much slower to recover, so you'll really have to slow down to do it. And then, the 90% will escalate further and further. But if you get lost, if you get confused, if your heart rate is struggling to come back down again, just think 1 minute easy, 1 minute hard, and just flip